Welcome back to the Ed Morrissey Show podcast. Right there, you just saw him, the Prince of Twitter, the regent of RedState.com, Andrew Malcolm. You know, I've been watching these really dumb YouTube videos with like boxing clips, and so you hear the announcer voice, right? With the regent of RedState.com sort of thing.
What's that all about anyway?
Why do we listen to boxing announcers? Why do we do that? I don't understand.
This is worth the price of admission.
Oh, there you go. This is free entertainment, not behind a paywall, week in, week out. For what? 17 years.
Isn't that something?
Yeah,
wow.
That's amazing. 17 years.
I look around and see all these old people.
Yeah, right. I don't get it.
Me.
Might be 18 years, actually. Now I'm thinking about it. I think it was 18 years because we met at the Republican National Convention in 2008. So, yeah, it might be 18 years we've been doing this. Outside the paywall.
Isn't that something?
Well, there's lots of somethings here. You know what else is something? Hunter Biden's back, and he's got to be selling something. He's not selling art these days, right? I mean, he's what is it that he's doing? You wrote a column about this, and I'm mystified why anybody thinks that, why Hunter Biden thinks anybody wants to hear from the guy. I guess he's broke, so that makes at least some sense. But what's going on with this guy?
He claims to be broke. Well, the answer is open at the moment. But since he is a renowned grifter, the suspicion is there's something afoot. He says, in answer to a direct question, that he's not running for anything, which I think is just swell. Given the people that Democrats are voting for these days, the Nazi sympathizer and socialists and what have you, I'm afraid he might have an audience to appeal to. But he's presenting himself on various podcasts as an affable guy who had some troubles, but those are way behind him. His party screwed over his father. He gives a little update. He says his father is suffering a lot from the cancer that's spread.
Nobody wants to hear that. I mean,
no.
Whatever else we think of Joe Biden, nobody wishes that on him. But
no, of course not. But Hunter did a book already. And his father is doing a book, but it's been postponed because they don't want him on the news before the midterm elections. So it's a mystery that is unsolved. And so I thought, it'd be kind of fun to write about it. And I listed an incomplete list of the offenses that he has committed, and in case somebody's thinking about voting for him someday. So I don't know. It seems like podcasts, they're not real Mike Wallace questioners here. It's more.
No, but that's part of the charm. I mean, that's part of the charm. The charm is that you're having conversations with people, which I like normally. But the problem is with a guy like Hunter Biden, just the stuff that you list on here, he's never really been challenged on. And so he's getting a free pass by going on conversational podcasts rather than dealing with.
And they're not inviting him. He or his people, who probably won't ever get paid, are offering him to these podcasts. The hosts talk about being offered Hunter Biden and jumping at it, which of course Hunter Biden knows. So it's entertainment. I'm only a fan of one podcast, Ed, and
That's because there's jokes at the end. That's the reason why I like
That's
that one
right.
so much.
That's right. You got to wait for the jokes. They make us wait.
What's up with that?
Why do we have to wait for the jokes? Isn't Hunter Biden enough of a joke? Yeah, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of discussing the clown show here. I mean, so I think we get some credit for that up front. We're doing the clown show up front.
Up front, yeah.
You know, here's the thing. I mean,
he claims he's got 15, 17, some court papers suggest 20 million in debts. He says he's living abroad, but then he shows up with these hosts in their space. So, living abroad.
How can he be living abroad if he's got $20 million in debt? I mean, first off,
well, yeah. How do you afford that? But are you ducking? He's ducking? His law firm is suing him.
I hadn't heard that. What's his law firm suing him over?
Money. They haven't been paid. Mucho
I got you. Yeah. Well, he's not gonna come up with it. He might send them a couple of paintings, but
yeah, the market for them is dried up since Daddy's gone.
Funny how that happened after they left the White House. How suddenly nobody's really all that interested in buying his art.
What's up with that? It's a real coincidence.
Yeah, I'm totally stunned. Who could have predicted that except everybody in the known universe predicting it?
Nobody is, excuse me, nobody's willing to overpay for amateur paintings anymore.
Well, you know, here's the thing about presidential, you know, sons and daughters and brothers and sisters and all that kind of thing is that for the most part, nobody cares. I mean, the only time they really matter is when they're an embarrassment. Now, Hunter Biden has not just been an embarrassment. He's been, you know, arguably conducting criminal conduct, which is the reason why Daddy gave him a pardon, a 10-year long pardon. But, you know, for the most part, nobody really cares. I mean, you remember, wasn't it Reagan's brother? Didn't he have like a half brother named Neil who had some sort of financial scandal going on? He owed people money or something. I forget what the parameters of that.
George Bush's brother, didn't he have some banking troubles?
Yeah, that George Bush's brother had an issue. You know, Jimmy Carter's brother was sort of legendary. Billy Beer and all that kind of stuff. And Billy actually was a undeclared foreign agent for the Libyan government. Remember, he was they didn't charge him, but he forgot to register as an agent of the Libyan government at the time when the Libyan government was very much hostile to the United States. And nobody really cares.
And Clinton, Bill Clinton pardoned
Roger.
His wife, his brother or his wife's brother?
His brother. No, his brother. It was his younger brother, Roger, who had some drug convictions on his record. It wasn't anything particularly nefarious. It was because he was, he'd been addicted to drugs and got convicted of a couple of things. And I think he wasn't in prison or anything like that. They were just clearing his record. The pardon cleared his record.
Isn't that nice? That's nice.
That was a lot better than the Mark Rich pardon. I mean, at least you can understand why Bill Clinton wanted to get his, make his brother's record clean on the way out the door. But the Mark Rich thing was a whole other thing. But I mean, look, for the most part, nobody cares about brothers and sisters and the kids. When Donald Trump leaves office, I assume that Don Jr., maybe Eric will be interested in pursuing politics. They keep flirting with it and then claiming that they're not really interested. I don't think the public's going to be interested in them. The only family that hasn't applied to has been the Kennedys, right? I don't know why apparently I'm sending something to the printer as we're speaking, and I have no idea why it's doing that.
What's up with that?
What's up with the printer thing? I think I know what it is. I think somebody rebooted a computer. But at any rate, normally nobody would care. And I think that nobody caring is the best you can get. So if you're a president's son or daughter who's coming up on the radar screen, it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
the
Well,
more
and-
he is on the radar screen, I think the worse it is for him. Certainly the worse it is for Democrats who are trying to forget all about the Bidens at this point in time.
Yeah. And the pattern of history is that after 2 terms of a president, we have the second term, not consecutive, but the second term, voters tend to look for something different. So
Yes.
you don't want a Trump 2.0. Voters are going to go, that's enough, whether they're different or not. And that's why I think Marco Rubio is in a good position for the nomination in 28, because JD Vance he'd have to, he's in a catch-22. He can't be different than Trump because he's vice president and has to be in favor of everything that Trump does. Although his people have leaked that he was against the Iran war.
Well, I don't even think it's much of a leak. I mean, Vance himself has kind of sounded pretty skeptical publicly about it, to the point where I think it's starting to annoy Trump. As we're talking about this on Monday afternoon, there's a story here from ABC News. President Trump contradicted Vice President JD Vance on Monday after the vice president asserted last week that the administration's top priority amid the Iran war was to keep the price of oil and gas down for Americans. In a social media post on Monday morning, Trump said that the number one goal is and always will be that Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. So they don't appear to be on the same page message wise. I think Rubio is closer to Trump.
Rubio is really skilled at that. And remember, Joe Biden got out way ahead of Obama's skis on the gay marriage approval back when he was vice president. Well, one of the things that, and maybe this is something to talk about, but it used to be that news was news. And now news has become mostly entertainment, Ed.
Yes.
Don't you think?
Yes.
And I think part of it is tied to the internet. Of course, TV news always had to appeal to people to get viewers, to get advertisers, but they appeal to them by having good news, not good news, but news that was professionally done. And now it doesn't have to be professionally done. It's done to attract clicks and views. And a lot of the news isn't really on the network. It's clips online.
Yeah, which is what Hunter Biden's kind of taking advantage of too, because nothing he says is actually news. Nothing he's saying is actually news.
Right.
He's just providing, some grist for the mill, kind of gossipy stuff. And, I wouldn't want to say a health update on his father is not gossipy. That's something I think is legitimate news. The fact that Biden is as ill as he is legitimate news. He's former president. There's no reason to dispute that. But for the most part, what Hunter is selling is clips of himself so that he can go viral, so that he can get the lulls and the clicks, like you just said, none of which is news. He's not going to run for office. If he tried to run for office, he'd get creamed. I mean, maybe he could run for dog catcher in Delaware. And that's a maybe.
I'd have to look it up. Can you? Let's see. He was a convicted felon, but he was pardoned. Is that
he was pardoned? So I think and the thing is, I think is we've discovered is that being a convicted felon is not necessarily a bar to winning public office, for better or worse. I think what's up with not doing a records check? All right.
Andy Rooney, I miss him. I really do.
I do. I loved Andy Rooney. I mean, I'm making we make fun of him, but I loved that segment. That was my favorite segment on 16 Minutes. Was Andy Rooney being a curmudgeon in the final 5 minutes. That was the best. Really, it was the only worthwhile part of 60 Minutes for the most part. I got a question for you though. You talk about news and entertainment and stuff like that. And I think this comes up at a good time because Karoline Leavitt has said that she is going to leave the White House at the end of the month because she just had a child. I think she has 2 others. I think this is her 3rd child.
Got at least one, yeah.
Yeah, and she wants to stay home and be a mom. And of course, write a book and make money. But, she didn't say that part. It's coming, but and it will come out after I think because she's pretty loyal to Trump, it'll come out after the end of the Trump administration. And that's when it would sell anyway. But at any rate, she's gonna leave her post. And I think it's grand that she's choosing her family over her career. I think it's fine if she wanted to do it the other way around too. But I think it just does tend to show she really wants to stay home and be with her newborn and her other child or children. And I think that's wonderful. However, well, first off, before we go on from that, let me ask you this. How effective do you think Karoline Leavitt was as a press secretary? Because I've heard people say that, yeah. I mean, for me, Tony Snow is always going to be the measuring stick. And there was only one Tony Snow. She was pretty effective though.
She was very effective. Sarah Huckabee was effective.
Yes. I was trying to think of who in the first term was really good, and Sarah Huckabee Sanders was definitely very effective.
And she's effective now as governor. I mean, they're doing all kinds of really good conservative stuff, and she's out on the farm doing videos pointing out what they're doing. That's.
But I mean, so let me ask you this:
Trump is going to have somebody good who can take a lot of flack. Yeah.
Right. Right now, they're talking about doing the rotation again, right? And this was sort of the fun thing when Karoline Leavitt went out on maternity leave. And part of this was the fun of knowing that she was out on maternity leave because everybody was very happy for her. And so they had the different cabinet secretaries come in and run the briefing room. Now, that actually was pretty effective. Marco Rubio did a great job. I think Scott Bessent did a good job. I don't remember if Howard Lutnick did anything or not. Vance did a pretty decent job actually too. Rubio probably did the best. Of all the ones that did that. How important is it to replace Karoline Leavitt? Why not just have your cabinet secretaries come in? Doesn't have to be every single day either. They don't necessarily have to have a briefing every day. I think that with the press secretary, they normally do.
I think you're right. That is very effective to have because it's coming straight from the source, source. Of course, they could also cycle through some of the assistant or whatever they call them, deputy assistants. I'm trying to figure out how that ranks. Assistant deputy or deputy assistant.
Yeah, I mean, they have all sorts of different weird titles with these folks, and it's hard to tell. It's the same thing's true like the DOJ, right? You've got deputy secretary, assistant secretary,
deputy under assistant secretary. Yeah, it's all about the ego, probably.
It's all about getting a title. And look, that's not just in the government world. There's places in corporate America where it's the exact same thing. Is that you don't even need the raise, you just want the title.
Co-CEO.
CIO, Chief Information Officer. I mean, there are actual job duties that go with that stuff. But I don't know what you call it, the director of fun, director of morale, stuff like that. The assistant to the director of morale. I mean, this is the type of thing that you get with bureaucracies. But the reason why I bring this up is that they're looking for a new press secretary, and clearly it doesn't look like they're inclined to promote from within. It looks like they're looking for somebody from on the outside because they simply have it. If they were looking to promote somebody from within, one of the assistants and deputies or whatever it is that exists in here, I think they would have just announced it by now. They just said, well, whoever the next in in line will be the next press secretary. I have a suggestion for, and I'm not even joking around. I mean, I wouldn't mind doing it for a day just so I could stand up and do lines from the movie Arthur. Do you remember the movie Arthur with John Gielgud as the butler?
Yeah.
I'll
alert the media.
I'll alert the media, and things like pleasure to meet you. Normally one must go to a bowling alley to meet a person of your stature. And then I think my personal favorite to use as the one-day press secretary would be, well, I don't know, sir. I'm just the help. On the other hand, go screw yourself. If they would let me do that for a day, I would fly to Washington, D.C. just to do that for the day.
Just to do that.
Yeah. But I mean, more seriously, I think that Trump has made it pretty clear that he prefers to have a hard-nosed woman in this role. He had Sean Spicer for a bit. For the most part, ever since then, he's employed women in that role. Kayleigh McEnany, Karoline Leavitt, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, tough women who don't mind punching back. And I do actually have a serious, and I know you're already laughing. I'm surprised that you're not hearing this, folks.
No, I'm not. I'm
actually have a
hanging on a hook here.
You're hanging on a hook. Katie Pavlich, who was who's a friend of mine, who I worked with for quite a few years, not really directly. We worked for the same company. Who was responsible for me getting my book deal, sort of in a backhanded way, by the way. I think I've told Andrew that story. I'm not sure I've shared it on the podcast. I'll explain it in a minute. But who's over at News Nation right now? She's hosting her own show at News Nation. She was a member of the White House press corps for Town Hall for at least a few years. Well known. And
she's well spoken and well versed in the issues.
And doesn't take crap from anybody. I mean, let's face it. Katie doesn't take crap from anybody. And I think she'd be really good at it. Now, here's the thing. The caveat here is I don't know that she'd want to do it because I haven't talked to Katie about it. We're not. I nominated her sort of as a half joke in a final word segment, and I mentioned it in my tweet. And she actually sent me a really nice direct message. I hadn't heard from her in a while because she's busy, right? She sent me a really nice, I won't discuss what was in it. It had nothing to, she didn't mention anything about what it was that I had said, but she was just saying how nice it was and how, it was very kind of me and I hope I'm doing well. And we exchanged a message or two and she's a real sweetheart. I mean, she really is. But I'm trying to think of anybody who's in that milieu that really suits that type of job. And I think that she's a person who could get up there and really beat people up. I mean, that's kind of what it's about these days. And that's not just true for this administration. It was true in the Biden administration. Karine Jean-Pierre was terrible at it, by the way. She looked like Karine Jean-Pierre. Remember, she was the press secretary for a couple of years. Jen Psaki was not good at it. But Karine Jean-Pierre was awful. Just absolutely awful at it.
Just awful.
And if you want to measure how awful she is, you notice that Jen Psaki still has a career. Has anybody even heard from Karine Jean-Pierre?
Yeah.
It's been 2 years. Anybody ever?
Anybody?
Almost 2 years.
She's doing the book. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I heard she's doing a book. Like anybody's going to believe anything she writes.
I have an idea, Ed. We can chew on this.
Okay.
If she does not win the Minnesota Senate seat, Michelle Tafoya.
Yeah, I don't know that they're going to hold it open that long, right? Because then that's 2 months down the road, or it's almost 3 months down the road. But yes, Michelle Tafoya would be excellent at that too, for the same reasons. She's smart, she's informed, she's been around, and she doesn't take crap off of people at all. So yeah, but I think Katie's more in that. Has been more in that, well, she's been a White House press correspondent, so she's been in the WHCA for one thing. She knows the people. She probably knows them better than Michelle Tafoya would. But I think Michelle would be good at it too. Absolutely, it's a great suggestion. I think they're waiting for somebody like that though, because I think that Karoline Leavitt probably told them when she was coming back from maternity leave that she was thinking about leaving and that they were going to have to come up with a plan. She announced it, what, a week or two ago? And they still haven't announced anything. So I think they're looking outside, right? I mean, doesn't that tell you that they may be looking outside for this?
Well, didn't he have like, I mean, it wasn't a trial when he had the cabinet secretaries, but didn't he have a rotating cast of people that kind of came through that he could watch on his tape delay? I don't know.
I think he did. Yeah, but I think that was that before Karoline Leavitt actually got the
Yeah,
job, or
yeah, it was.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was.
yeah.
Well,
So
that
maybe
was it.
he's,
Carolyn Leavitt was internal. Sarah Huckabee was internal.
yeah, they both came from the campaigns, from the original campaigns. Yeah. How important is it to have a press secretary who can do that? Because I mean,
it is important. Yeah, I mean, it's if you're in tune with the guy or the head, then it's priceless. If you're not, like one of the Bush people or Kareem, it's a disaster. It's a distraction, and you don't want distractions. Yeah, the press has to think that the press secretary has intimate contact with the principal. And Trump is unusual in that he's going to do more than the press secretary would, but they have to be in sync.
Yeah, and I think that I think it has to be somebody who's able to answer the question that they want to answer rather than the question that was posed by the reporter. That's a skill that good politicians have. It's also a skill that good press secretaries have.
Yep.
And somebody who isn't inclined to say "circle back" every time a reporter asks a question. That's circle back. All right.
Well, or what was the other one? At the end of the day, oh God, it's spoiled me
I say
forever.
that one too, but yeah, she kind of beat that one into the ground.
Get over
as well.
it, Morrissey. At the end of the day, that's so. Yeah.
The end of the day, I've got to get over that. At the end of the day, I have to stop using cliches. All right.
Okay.
I want to tell this story really quickly, though, for people who don't know this. When I got how I got the book deal, right? We were at CPAC, and this is in 2015. And Katie was on the final panel at CPAC. And she'd had a long day, and she really didn't want to stick around. But she had made the commitment, and she was willing to do it. And she was talking about it behind the scenes. You know, we were in the, whatever you call it. I guess you could call it the green room, but it's basically the lounge for people who were on stage. I had said something at one point, so I had access back there. And we were hanging out and just relaxing. She's like, oh God, it's going to be another 2 hours before I do this panel. I'd really like to go. And I said, well, what's the panel on? She told me what it was. I'm not exactly sure, but it was looking forward to the next election cycle, right? And this is 2015. And I said, well, if you're tired and you want to split, I'll do it for you. I'm here. I'm not leaving, so I can do it for you. I said they may not want to swap you for me, but I'm willing to do it. And she says, really? I said, sure. So she says, well, let me check. So she goes and she talks to the organizer, and they're like, oh yeah, no, we'll take Ed. That's great. Yeah, no, that's fun. So I'm on the panel. This thing's supposed to be like 20 minutes. Now, the end of the Saturday, and Andrew knows this because we did CPACs together all the time. They're doing the straw poll, right? All during CPAC. And the last thing that they announce on Saturday afternoon is the results of the straw poll. And for some reason, they couldn't count the votes correctly. They kept having to start over. So there was a guy in front of the stage who kept doing this. Because when you're on stage, there's a clock there, and it tells you how much time you have left. And it's like a 20-minute clock. And so we're trying to just get our points in and finish up. But the only thing that had left was this guy kept jumping out in front and doing this. We were, I think, up there for an hour.
Oh,
doing this. I mean, that was brutal. We were kind of repeating ourselves. We were taking questions from the audience just because we needed to have some fresh thoughts and stuff like that. And I kept going out. People were telling us they don't have the straw poll results. We don't have the straw poll results. Stretch. So this is, this is one of those things where at the time I'm laughing kind of internally because it's like no good deed goes unpunished,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Well, what happened though was that there were two editors from Crown Forum who were in the audience, and they had the concept, a rough concept of what turned out to be Going Red in mind. And I was talking about data and how you need to use data, but you have to really connect with people and all this kind of stuff. And they said they had been looking for a writer that they could work with on this concept. So they came up to me afterwards and they said, "Are you interested in writing a book?" And it's like, "Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any ideas." They said, no, we have an idea. We want to know if you'd be interested in partnering with us to write this book. That's how I got my book deal, my one and only book deal. That's how I got it, by
That's wonderful.
substituting for
What a
Katie.
great story.
So I always tell people Katie Pavlich is the reason why I got a book published. If I hadn't swapped out for her, they never would have asked me.
And whoever was counting the hanging Chad on the straw poll.
Yeah, that was the other thing. Yeah, it was one of those Rand Paul things, where everybody had flooded the zone and they were trying to figure out what the legit votes were. I mean, apparently it was a mess. Stretch. So what happens behind the scenes in things like this. It's just one of those fun stories. It's a great story. I love the story. It's a fun story, and it's true. It's just
yeah.
So,
all
right,
that's good. That's good.
So we did the fun story. Now we got to tell the jokes. So Andrew, what are your jokes this week?
Well, I've got a couple of old ones here. Seth Meyers, he says, an Alabama woman missing for nearly a month said she couldn't find her way home, but she was able to survive in the woods on mushrooms. Said officials who found her, "Ma'am, you were out there for 45 minutes.
Mushrooms.
And now old Jimmy Fallon one. He says, a new study finds that vegetarian cavemen died well before meat-eating cavemen. Not from nutrition. They were murdered for talking nonstop about being vegetarians.
The old impulses are still around, folks. The old impulses are still around. All right. I got a couple for you. There's a husband and wife go into therapy, right? Because they're having all sorts of issues. And the wife is very unhappy with the husband. She is in this therapy session. She's going on and on about neglect, lack of intimacy, emptiness, loneliness, feeling unloved, a long list of unmet needs that she blamed on her husband. And finally, the therapist stands up, lifts her up out of the seat, and gives her a huge kiss. And it just silences her. And the therapist turns around to the husband and says, "This is what your wife needs at least 5 times a week. Is this something you can do?" And the husband says, "Well, I could drop her off on Mondays and Wednesdays, but Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, I play golf." All right. One last one. We got 6 reasons why computers are female. This is all from jokesoftheday.net, by the way. I love jokesoftheday.net. So this is the 6 reasons why computers are female. And I bet you Andrew didn't know these. I bet you don't even know that computers are female. Here are the 6 reasons why. 6, as soon as you have one, a better one is just around the corner. 5, no one but the creator understands the internal logic. 4, even your smallest mistakes are immediately committed to memory for future reference. 3, the native language used to communicate with other computers is incomprehensible to everyone else. 2, the message "bad commander file name" is about as informative as "if you don't know why I'm mad at you, I'm certainly not going to tell you." And the number 1 reason computers are female, as soon as you make a commitment to one, you find yourself spending half of your paycheck on accessories for it. Now, I fully expect to get an angry email or two from some of our beloved female viewers who are going to tell me 7 reasons why computers are male. If somebody wants to put that together, I promise you, I will read it in our next podcast.
That's right. That's right. I don't want to hear it myself. Yeah, exactly.
I assume there's going to be something about unreliability, about memory issues just at the moment that you need it the most. Things like that. I am listening. I am open to that. I'm open to that interpretation. All right. Andrew Malcolm, the Prince of Twitter, the regent of redstate.com. Until next week, it's going to be a blast. Have yourself a great week, Andrew.